What women owe men. Welcome to Change the Conversation with the Hopefulist. My name is Wendy McClure, and it's time we had a conversation about living in a patriarchy and how that affects our lives. Together, we can make a difference and change the conversation. Oh yeah, let's change this conversation. We are tired of living in a patriarchy where all of the rules benefit the men and make life more comfortable for them, but not really for us, not really the women. So let's start out with the quote of the day. All of Mother Nature's creatures are designed to fully flourish before they die. What does that mean? That means that if you haven't come into the best of you as of yet, you need to. And as we know, tomorrow is never promised. Time can be so short. So it's time to get on that. It's time to go after the dreams that you've always had. It's time to live the life that you've always wanted to live. It's time to live on your terms and create a life that matters to you. So I started out today saying, what women owe men. And I'm not going to beat around the bush here. The answer is nothing. The answer is nothing. And let's get into some of the things that women are told that they owe men, or given the impression that they owe men, or conditioned to think this is their job. And I wanted to start out with what I've been hearing about in the media. There are all of these reports and articles about how lonely men are, how men can't get dates and find intimate partners like they used to. And they are calling this a crisis. I've even seen people blame shootings on the fact that men are alone in their mom's basement. They can't get a date. It causes them to be angry and lash out. So it's women's fault that there's shootings. Yeah, it's completely ridiculous and ludicrous and all of that stuff. One of the reasons that men are having a harder time than they used to finding dates and women that want to spend time with them is because women have stepped up their game, which in essence makes them want to be with somebody who is stepping up in the game as well. They want somebody who's a little more evolved. They want somebody who doesn't expect traditional roles in a relationship, because women have decided that if that's the options, if the option is to, be in a traditional role, having all of the child rearing and housework and all of the emotional labor on them, in addition to working, because most families have to have two incomes at this point, that they would rather go it alone. They would rather stay by themselves and work on exactly what they want to work on, live the life exactly the way they want to live it. And I don't blame them. A lot of men still expect things to be so-called traditional, even though they know that the woman is out there working 40 hours a week, just like he is. But yet they still have this expectation that women are going to be the ones to take care of the majority of things. I'm not saying that men don't pitch in, and of course, every relationship is different. But if you want to be a step above, then you have to show that you are. And until you do that, you just might be a little bit lonely. And I just have to say that this is so ridiculous to me, because this is taking place in the midst of women losing their bodily autonomy. We have lost the right to say whether we want to be pregnant, to deliver a child, and raise a child. We have lost that right. But let's focus on the men and how lonely they are. That's what the media is talking about. That's what the focus of the conversation is on. And let me ask you this. When Roe was overturned, it's been almost a year now, I'd love to know how many men in your life were outraged over it. Were outraged for you. 1, maybe? 2? Any? I like to think that my husband's pretty evolved, much more so than most men that I know. But even he just, I'm sorry, babe. Like, he didn't really kind of, I knew that he knew how upset I was, and he was sorry for that. But I remember I took him to a march in D.C. with me to protest this decision. And some of the speeches that he heard, he said he got it a little bit more, that it was a government overreach, that they're telling us what we have to do. So even my own husband didn't really realize the gravity of it and what it actually means for women. While we're going through this, we have to hear about how lonely men are. And I got to tell you, I have this feeling that men are going to be even more lonely if we don't have the right to control our own body. Because if we happen to get pregnant and have no way to end that pregnancy, if we so choose, we're probably going to be having a lot less sex. I mean, I think that just makes common sense. But here's the thing, though. When it comes to men being lonely and sitting in their mom's basement and getting angry and all that, men need to learn to regulate their emotions, just like women have had to do. Women have always had to learn how to regulate their emotions. Men to this day still, again, according to the patriarchy, because the patriarchy doesn't just hurt women, it hurts men too. Men are not allowed to have emotion unless it is anger. And that doesn't serve men. So regardless of how you were brought up, you need to do your own work. You need to dig inside yourself to find out what you need to change in order to be a better person, in order to get the life that you would like. We women have been doing it for the past 50 plus years. And you know my opinion. That's why we are where we are. Women have outpaced men when it comes to education, when it comes to job situations, when it comes to being self-sufficient, when it comes to taking care of the kids and getting everything done. We have outpaced men in every single category there is, and they are scared to death of us. They feel the need to stop us in our tracks now, and this is how they do it. They force birth on women in America. In America. So when we hear about these age-old ideas about how men are here to provide, protect, and procreate, that's what men are supposed to be responsible for. Where was the protection when the government was taking away the rights that we have to our own bodies? Not only was there very few men standing up, very few men even had an opinion about it or voiced their opinion about it. Another big idea is that we women owe men intimacy. That we owe it to them, especially if we're married. If we're married, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. And we have to do it to keep them from cheating. We have to do it because that's a form of stress release for them. And if you're denying them that, then they're just stressed out. And that's all your fault because you're denying them. Let me ask the married ladies out there, how many times have you been stressed, say on a weekend or something, when you are pretty sure he's going to come to you and want to see a little action, and you get so stressed out because of just the pressure of it, just the thought that you're going to have to do something that you don't necessarily want to do, but you feel like you owe it to them? I am sure that there is not a person listening that can't say that they've been in that situation if they are a married person or somebody who has been in a long-term relationship. You know, women go through a lot of issues physically with hormones and their cycles and menopause, perimenopause, all of this stuff. And that has a lot to do with whether they're in the mood or not. And the other thing that really, is conditional on being in the mood is how much you are stressed in your own life. How much do you have to do? Are you working and then working at home and taking care of the kids? When was the last time that you got taken out to a nice dinner or had flowers bought for you or been treated like you were special? But yet you don't see any of that, but yet you are still expected, especially if a certain amount of time has passed. If it's been a week or 2 weeks or, God forbid, 3 weeks, you're like, oh, I know he's coming after me this weekend. That it's owed, that it is your job to provide that. It's just not reasonable to think that we have to whenever they deem it necessary. Because there are ways that they can take care of intimacy issues themselves. There are ways. And I'm not saying that you never have to be intimate with your husband again. I'm saying that you should not be expected like it is owed to him, because it is not. Let's talk about emasculating men. This is something that I've heard so much because, again, women have come so far. So now we're emasculating men. We're emasculating them because we can make our own money. We are self-sufficient. We can take care of the kids. We can take care of the house. We can bring home the bacon, and we don't need them. We don't need them. Not like we used to. Again, we can provide for ourselves. We can even procreate without a man. And we really don't buy the whole protection thing because, number one, what we need protection from the most is other men. And we've all seen these situations where, there's a group of men in a bar and one of them starts harassing a woman, and 8 times out of 10, none of his buddies tell him to knock it off. They'll make excuses for him. I'm sorry, he's had a lot to drink, whatever. But they won't say, dude, stop. What's wrong with you? So they haven't been that good at protecting us for a long time anyway. I remember hearing things like, don't emasculate your man. If he puts dishes in the dishwasher, don't go, after him and rearrange what he did. That's emasculating to him. That's you treating him like he's a child, that he doesn't know how to do anything. Well, if they're putting it in a way where I can't fit anything else in there, I'm going to have to rearrange the way that it was all put in. And it really, is that what's going to break the marriage? Is that what's going to make him feel so useless that he can't continue to go on? That's what's going to break him, is having somebody rearrange the dishes in the dishwasher, because that doesn't sound like a very masculine man to me. That sounds like somebody that is very worried about how they appear to others. And if you're masculine, you should be confident in yourself, and nobody can take that away from you. In an ideal world, that's the way it works, right? But this is not an ideal world. It's a patriarchy. So we've had to do the work to better our lot in life. And that's what men need to do too. They need to do it just like we have had the need to do it. And we're doing it pretty well. And if you, God forbid, have the nerve to say these things out loud, if you live this way, you are then a man hater. You're a man hater. And you are out to get men. Why do you hate men so much? I don't hate men. I'm just trying to point out that everything is skewed to a man's point of view, for the man's comfort, for the advantage of the man. You know, there's this theory now that women are out to get men. We're not. We truly are not out to get men. Men seem to think that we want revenge on them, that we're going to turn around and treat them the way they've treated us all of this time. That's not the case. We're not looking for payback. All we are looking for is a chance at our own self-preservation and the pursuit of our own well-being. And we don't want somebody telling us that we can't do that. So if you do tell us that we can't do that, we might just leave. And that's a risk you're going to have to take. I often hear still to this, I want a traditional wife. That's what the new term is. I would like a traditional wife. And if you really kind of delve into that, you ask, well, what's a traditional wife? Well, somebody who wants to, take care of the kids and take care of the house or whatever. Oh, so you want a wife that's a stay-at-home mom. Well, no, she's probably going to have to work because, things cost a lot of money now. Oh, okay. So when you say traditional wife, what you mean is part modern because you want them to go to work and contribute to the finances, but then 100% traditional where she's still going to keep up with the house and the chores and the kids and everything that needs to be done. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if that is not a proper assumption of what men mean when they say they want a traditional wife. And if you truly want somebody to stay home and not work, then that's obviously something that's negotiable. It's up to each woman how she wants her life to unfold. So, men want their cake and eat it too. And the reason they want this is because they've always been able to do it. And now that things are changing, they don't like it. And like I said, if you have the nerve to point this out, you're a man hater. Don't fall for it. They can say whatever they want. You do you. You be the best person you can possibly be. And you make the rules for your life. This is where we are now. We know it is about us being ourselves truly and authentically, because that is the key. That is the key to living a happy, fulfilled, and satisfying life. Because, if you think about it, men predominantly are exactly who they are. They don't put on fake masks or act in different ways in different situations. Some men do. And, I'm sure that there's more, politeness when it comes to being in the workplace and stuff like that. But for the most part, men are who they are because they've been encouraged to do that their whole lives. They've been encouraged to be themselves, where women are basically encouraged the opposite. You have to be this, this, and this. You have to do this to find a man, and you have to do this to keep a man. So this is the point of it all. Live life the way you want to live it. Because what I want for you most of all, more than anything in this world, is to find your own truth and your own purpose and then live out your dreams. That's all we all want. But so few of us get it because we're afraid. We're afraid to stand up. We're afraid to speak out. But we're learning how to do this. We're learning. And the more you do it, the more you are yourself, the faster you will get to the life that you truly want to live. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, what women owe men is absolutely nothing. And don't let anybody tell you anything different. Men need to evolve like women have evolved, like women have learned to stand up and to speak out and to have their say. Men need to do the same thing. Men need to be more contributors in relationships. Women want a partner. They don't want somebody to dominate them. They don't want to be told what to do any more than a man wants to be told what to do. So once men can work this out on themselves, get over childhood trauma that they might have, just like we've had to do, and figure out how they can get what they want in this life, in a relationship, when it comes to the type of family that they want, they have to figure out what they need to do in order to make that happen. It's not automatic anymore like it has been for all time. So, men, you have to do the work. Or you can just try to hold women back, which is exactly what they are doing, instead of doing the work you need to do to become somebody that would be wanted in a partnership. I want you to find your truth and your purpose, and I want you to live it. Because at the end of the day, nobody else matters except for you. How you feel about yourself, what you accomplish in your lifetime, and how you feel about yourself. Those are the most important things. So I would love for you to check out the website. It's hopefulist.com. And if today's episode resonated with you just a tiny little bit, I would love for you to share it on social media, maybe copy the link and send it to a friend and get the word out. Spread the word about changing the conversation. It's time to change the conversation with the Hopefulist. This is Wendy signing off. I'm so happy to have you here. And I look forward to speaking to you again next week. Now, go be badass. I'm cheering you on. Thank you for joining me in this conversation. Together, we are better. Please visit my website at hopefulist.com and remember to hit that subscribe or follow button.